Spider-Man has worn hundreds of different suits over the years, whether iconic or obscure, but not all of them are created equal. From homemade suits at the beginning of Peter Parker's journey to suits that push the webhead far beyond his natural limits, these are the 7 levels of Spider-Man suits. At the lowest level are Spider-Man's homemade suits, regardless of the iteration. Pretty much every version of the character has one, whether comics or on screen. These costumes were built before refinement, resources, or experience. If anything, they are the most Peter Parker of them all. One example is Tobey Maguire's wrestling suit, or should I say, the Human Spider. A patched-together costume with a loose mask, thin fabric, and gloves. It wasn't designed for crime fighting at all, just visibility and movement. In a real fight, it offered nothing aside from hiding his identity. The homemade suit worn early in the MCU by Tom Holland follows the same idea. Hoodie, goggles, and athletic wear. Functional enough to move and swing, but completely incapable of absorbing damage or really assisting in combat. Andrew Garfield's can't even be considered a suit per se, just a mask, sunglasses, and black street clothes. For Miles Morales, it was literally a store-bought Spider-Man costume. These suits don't enhance Spider-Man's strength, speed, or durability in any way. If he gets hit, the suit doesn't help. He takes it. Spider-Man relies entirely on his natural agility and newly found powers to survive. Another one we'll toss into this tier is the bombastic Bagman suit, which Peter had to wear to protect his identity after the Fantastic Four helped him to remove the symbiote. Level 1 represents Spider-Man at his most vulnerable, but often in his earliest stages as a hero. Level 2 is the baseline, the standard Spider-Man suit most people recognize instantly. This is the traditional red and blue design seen across decades of comics, as well as on screen. It dates all the way back to Amazing Fantasy number 15 in August of 1962, created by writer Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko. In live action, it's the first fully realized suits worn by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. The design has varied over the years. Spider symbols have shifted, colors slightly altered, lens shapes varied, and web wings were sometimes added, but this is the iconic look for Spider-Man for good reason. Typically made of a spandex material, these suits aren't improvised anymore. They're purpose-built, professionally constructed, and designed to withstand constant movement, web swinging, and combat. Unlike the homemade suits, classic suits are durable and made for both fighting crime and stopping villains. The fabric resists tearing, holds together under extreme strain, and allows Spider-Man to move at full speed, while integrating with his web shooters. But that's about where the advantages end. There's no onboard technology or armor plating, no enhancement to Spider-Man's strength, speed, or reflexes beyond his spider sense. The suit doesn't help him fight, it simply keeps up with him. This is Spider-Man operating purely at his natural peak, with his powers and experience finally working together, supported by a suit that won't fail him under pressure. Every other level builds off this foundation. Once Spider-Man's suit reaches level 2, it's no longer a liability, but isn't a weapon either. Level 3 suits are built to solve a specific problem or counter a specific villain, not to replace Spider-Man's standard look. These suits emerge when Peter realizes that his classic suit, while reliable, isn't always enough. Certain enemies, environments, or missions demand specialization. A clear example is the stealth suit, sometimes referred to as the big-time suit. Designed for covert operations, it prioritizes camouflage and low visibility. In the right conditions, it makes Spider-Man nearly impossible to detect. It was also designed to combat the Hobgoblin's sonic screams. Another example is the Electro-proof suit, created specifically to be insulated against Electro's energy-based attacks. Against other enemies, it's often bulkier and less practical than the classic suit. The same logic applies to suits like the Anti-Ock suit from Spider-Man PS4, which was engineered to counter Dr. Octopus's mechanical arms. It wasn't meant for long-term use, but to win one fight. These suits don't universally enhance Spider-Man, they trade versatility for victory. In their intended scenario, Spider-Man becomes dramatically more effective. Outside of it, he may actually be at a disadvantage. Level 3 represents classic Peter Parker problem solving. Level 4 is where Spider-Man's suit stops being passive and starts actively improving how he operates. These suits introduce advanced technology directly into Spider-Man's kit. Not just durability or specialization, but systems that assist him in real time, whether it be tracking, targeting analysis, or expanded web functions. The most recognizable example is the Stark suit worn by Tom Holland in the MCU. It features an onboard heads-up display, instant threat analysis, advanced web combinations, and automated combat assistance. Spider-Man isn't only stronger in this suit, but he's far more efficient. Another example is the Velocity suit, developed to manage extreme speed and friction. This suit regulates temperature, stabilizes movement, and allows Spidey to reach much greater speeds. Suits at this level don't change Spider-Man's raw power, but change how effectively he can apply it. These suits help him see the battlefield more clearly than he ever could on his own. Level 4 is a major step up, but the power still has limits. The technology enhances Spider-Man's abilities, but it doesn't redefine them. Level 5 is where protection and endurance are top of mind. Armored suits are built for fights Spider-Man was never meant to survive in his classic suit. At this level, the goal isn't efficiency or specialization. It's tanking damage, taking hits, lasting longer, and surviving encounters that would otherwise overwhelm him. The most famous example is the Iron Spider. First introduced in the comics and later adapted on screen in Infinity War, this suit replaces fabric with advanced armor plating. Tony Stark's tech dramatically increases Spider-Man's durability and versatility, allowing him to withstand heavier damage and make use of things like spider arms in combat. The same philosophy applies to the spider armor suits, Marks 1 through 4. These designs prioritize protection against extreme threats, energy weapons, enhanced strength, and hostile environments. Each iteration refines the balance between armor and movement, but all of them share the same core purpose, that being survival. Unlike level 4 suits, these don't just help Spider-Man fight smarter, they allow him to remain in battles he'd normally be forced to retreat from, such as the Spider Armor Mark III, designed to combat the Sinister Six. Level 5 suits represent a clear escalation. Spider-Man isn't just dodging danger anymore, now he's built to endure it. Level 6 represents the absolute ceiling of what technology alone can give Spider-Man. These suits go beyond simple armor. Every system is refined, every movement is calculated, every action is pushed toward maximum efficiency. A prime example is the Superior Spider-Man suit. In this continuity, Peter Parker and Otto Octavius swapped minds before Parker's death. Doc Ock became the new Spider-Man and vowed to be a superior one. Part of that involved a more black and red suit, which featured spider arms, retractable talons on his hands and feet, and an enhanced artificial intelligence. Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man 2099 suit also fits squarely into this level. Designed with advanced future technology, it enhances combat efficiency with retractable claws, a web cape, jet boots, and explosives. It's lightweight, lethal, and brutally effective. Some late-stage Parker Industries designs fall into this category as well. These suits represent years of refinement by Peter Parker. They blend protection, processing, and performance into a highly optimized system. The power here is immense, but it's not quite the peak, which is why there's still one level above it. Level 7 is where Spider-Man suits stop being tools and start becoming sources of power themselves. These suits introduce something new, a second system, a second will, or an entirely different tier of power that technology alone can't replicate. The defining example is, of course, the Black Symbiote suit. Unlike every suit before it, this one is alive. First obtained by Peter in Secret Wars, it augments Spider-Man's strength, speed, endurance, and recovery far beyond his natural limits, while adapting in real time to threats. Damage that would cripple him in other suits becomes irrelevant. Fatigue becomes optional. There's been so many iconic iterations of the black suit, from comics to video games to television to the big screen. And while the power it gives Spider-Man is immense, it often blurs the line on with great power comes great responsibility. The black suit feeds on Peter's aggression and has its ulterior motives, revealed when it becomes Venom, one of Spidey's greatest foes. Other suits that reach level 7 do so by tapping into forces far beyond conventional design. Captain Universe is the clearest example, when Spider-Man was infused with cosmic power that granted him near endless strength and powers like flight, even if this didn't last long. What separates level 7 from every other tier is that Spider-Man is no longer the sole source of power. The suit contributes its own energy, its own capabilities, and in some cases, its own intent. But what Spider-Man suit is your favorite? What level do you think it belongs in? Let us know in the comments.